Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Phillies Show. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zulecki. It is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Phillies just got out of Pittsburgh. They eke out a win on Sunday to avoid the sweep. They snapped a season-high 3-game losing streak. And now they're in Minnesota for a 3-game series against the Twins. But the Pittsburgh series, guys, they probably should have won 2 out of 3. And I think the thing that a lot of people are talking about is José Alvarado. José Alvarado on Friday night struggles a little bit. Does struggle a little bit. He struggles and blows a save on Friday night. He bounces back, looks a little bit better on Sunday. But, you know, as the trade deadline approaches, we're going to be talking a lot about trade deadline, different options, different needs. And we've already talked a lot about the bullpen. Would you get another arm? Is it a bigger priority than the right-handed bat, fourth outfielder type? Is your level of concern of José Alvarado? He's certainly not performing like he has, you know, the last couple seasons.
Well, it is of some concern. There's no question about it because he goes in these ebbs and flows. Now, he can be the most dominant left-hander in the game and has been at times, especially last year. He really turned it around. And he had been dominant at times in the early part of this season after that slow start. But you just have to be a little bit concerned. I think at the end of the day, he's going to be fine. The trust factor, though, when you start talking about winning World Series championships, that's where, you know, the rubber meets the road. And for me, I love José Alvarado. I love what he brings to the table. I love his stuff. But at the end of the day, can you trust him to get the last couple of outs of the game? Can you trust Hoffman to get the last couple of outs or 3 outs of the game? And I think you can trust him to get some outs, but it may not come all the time. And so that's why I feel like, you know, they probably would really benefit. And I think it is a necessity for them to add a 8th or 9th inning guy or a well-trusted veteran guy to get outs in the back end of the bullpen. Kirkring's throwing okay, but he is vulnerable right now because he's not throwing his sinker and his fastball as consistently, and the sweeper they're sitting on, and so they're having some success against him. Hoffman's been great. Strom got banged around a little bit, but everybody, I mean, It didn't matter who was coming in against O'Neal Cruz. That man was just hot as hell, and so you could throw in the kitchen sink at him, and it wouldn't have mattered. But again, I really think it's all about, at the end of the day, when you're talking about winning series and winning championships, you got to have as many arms that you can trust back there as you possibly can if you do not have a bona fide, nailed, knockdown closer, and they don't have that guy.
Yeah, I'll say this about Alvarado because you brought him up. It was good to see him get out of Pittsburgh with a good outing because Friday night was very difficult. The whole month, really. The whole season, he has not been as sharp as we've seen him in previous years. I think the stuff is just a tick different, not as good. Still very good, but not like double plus very good. Mm-hmm. It's concerning the strikeout rate is not what it has been in previous years. But in the small picture here, this month, just not throwing enough strikes. Walking as many as he has struck out, putting give out those free passes, they turn into runs. We saw it with Alvarado, we saw it with Strom in this series. It was really a difference maker in Pittsburgh. So I do believe that when you're talking about elite athletes, they will have ups and downs, and sometimes you're just one good game from going on your next really good run, be it a hitter or a pitcher. So maybe Sunday afternoon's game in Pittsburgh where he did have that slider sweeper back and it was down and he was getting some swing and miss on it. He was getting some strikeouts. So that was good. Maybe that is something, he can build on. But even before his struggles, I thought this team needed another arm out there in the bullpen late in the game. Kind of Ruben alluded to this with the word trust. Somebody who's been there in the month of October, somebody who's done that, because October is such a different beast. And these guys have been there in October now. Alvarado, Strom, those guys. So that experience they've gained over the last 2 years will definitely help them. But I think they need another arm late in the game. And I think Dave Dombrowski's going to deliver on that. Not sure where he's going to go, who it's going to be, but I think Dombrowski's going to deliver on that.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about the Alvarado thing is it's really about his command. And I'm not sure if he's trusting his stuff as much because the stuff is not quite, it's just a tick down, as Jim said. And so when you trust your stuff, you have a lot more confidence in placing the pitch where you want to. He's really been able to pound over the years. He's been able to pound those right-handers in with that fastball cutter combination. That command right now has eluded him, and he hasn't really had the ability to do that as consistently as he's done in the past.
Yeah, Matt. I wasn't in Pittsburgh this week, but Matt Gelb wrote something interesting, and it's kind of if they would go out and get another closer, late inning closer, you can match up Alvarado more in the earlier innings, 6th, 7th inning, 8th inning against lefty bats. He's been still effective especially against lefty bats, but that's something that they could do if they go out and get another arm, because now you can have that new acquisition pitch to the 9th inning, or Hoffman or somebody else. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, strikeout rate's down, his swing and miss is down, and they got to get him lined up going forward. Tyler Phillips, though, he saved the day on Sunday. Tyler Phillips, he's got to be loving life right now. I can only imagine what it's like for Tyler Phillips. Grows up Phillies fan, and he pitches great yesterday. He's 2-0, 2.81 ERA. And just, giving them everything they need out of that 5th spot in the rotation with Walker down. He's a few weeks away, probably still. Spencer Turnbull, he might not come back as a starter, maybe as a reliever later this season. So he's giving them exactly what they need.
When I watch Phillips pitch, I just see a lot of poise. He's 25, and he doesn't, he kind of acts it like he's climbed a arduous road in the minor leagues to get here, and he's going to enjoy it. This is the times of his life. He's pitching for his hometown team, and those stories are really nice. They're fun to write. They're hometown boy, but they don't last long if you don't deliver. And he went out there for a team yesterday that had lost 2 straight, spun its wheels coming out of the break, and pitched 6 quality innings, 6 shutout innings. Did a great job. Kept the ball down, had it moving 2 ways, down in the zone, and I think that's such a key to success. And it's really kind of the hallmark of this Phillies starting pitching staff. They, not everybody's up here riding it by guys. This is a team that pitches. They, it exploits the corners, different quadrants, and moves the ball, keeps the ball down in the zone. That, there's a little bit of old school pitching approach in this staff. And he definitely fits in. He's done a heck of a job. I'm sure he's on cloud 9, but he's doing a good job keeping it all in check because he could be very, very important. Like you said, Turnbull's a ways away. He might end up in the bullpen when he's back. And Taijuan Walker is, probably just starting to throw. He's going to be a ways away. There's an opportunity to be seized. And, he has done I'm not going to say he seized it, but he's done a good job as that quest to lock it down begins.
Yeah, Jim, I agree with you. I think he's done a very good job of managing his emotions. He looks like a pretty emotional person. I think you can tell that he gets mad at himself if he doesn't make a pitch, or if he goes through an inning and has some difficulty, or there's some things that happen during the course of the game, and that's good. I like the fact that he, that he has a demand on himself to be successful. At the same time, you also have to be you have to try to be as even keeled as you possibly can. It's a sort of a tough balance. But I really like the way he's handled himself. He doesn't seem scared. And that's the thing that, we talk about a lot in the clubhouse, in the front office. Is the guy scared? Is he afraid of the barrel? And it doesn't seem like he is. And that is as important an element as there is, because in this day and age, guys are throwing so hard that all they want to do is try to miss the barrel. This guy, as you said, Jim, he pitches, keeps the ball down. Imagine keeping the baseball down in the zone.
Got a big double play yesterday by not being afraid of contact. And what you mentioned there about not being scared, it just strikes me as being so important, because not only does the other lineup sense it when you're scared and all of a sudden it's like sharks in the water, but your teammates in that clubhouse, they sense it and they just don't have the confidence behind you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I went through a spell as a young player where, and I'll never forget this, Darren Dalton grabbed me after the game one day. It was in Chicago. I was like, there was a line drive and I probably could have come getting it, caught it, but I backed off. Didn't want to create a big inning or whatever. And I remember him after the game. We ended up losing the game by a run or whatever. And he said to me, man, don't be afraid. Just go play. And I was glad he said something to me. And that was one of the beauties of Darren Dalton, because he would address things. Right. But that's important. That's an important element. From then on, I thought to myself, I'm just going to go play. And so those are important pieces of it, because if you play to make not wanting to make a mistake in the game, you got no chance. You got no chance. It's too, the level of baseball, the level of talent is just too high, and it'll get exploited. And Jim said it. I mean, it is. You're right about the sharks in the water, man. You can see guys on the mound. You can see their face. And this guy's got a really good face. We used to talk about this a lot with Pat Gillick, but I love faces. And when I see this guy standing on the mound, I don't see anybody who's scared. I see somebody who's determined to try to do the best he possibly can. He's not with, I don't want to say limited ability, but he doesn't have Paul Skeen stuff. He's got decent stuff, and he moves the baseball, and he can pitch a little bit. And he's showing that he has the ability to do that, and he's trusting himself to do so.
As Gabe Kapler says, he's presenting beautifully.
Oh, stop it. Oh, stop. Oh,
he's presenting beautifully, but
present this.
but Ruben, like he's actually throwing harder now in the big leagues. His velocity has gone up as a starter in the big leagues than AAA. So he's definitely feeling it too. He's got a, I don't know if that's a mentality or if that's just people like to say the second deck, third deck, but his stuff is playing up a little bit better up here as well.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. I mean, the mentality. I was telling a story the other day about when we called up Jimmy Rollins, and we had the other outfielder, the left-handed hitting outfielder, had so many tools. He came up at the same time. Oh my God, I'm brain locking on his name right now. Oh, I hate getting old. Reggie Taylor. Thank you, Jim. So we literally brought him up at the same time. And I could literally tell you exactly what kind of careers they were going to have when I said the words, you guys are coming to the big leagues. Reggie Taylor's face was like this. He was like, oh, okay. Like, holy shit, I'm coming to the big leagues.
Right.
And Jimmy Rollins, when Jimmy Rollins found out, he was like, yeah.
Jimmy's like, bring it.
That's exactly right. And I can tell you immediately by their reactions on their faces which guy was going to be a player and which guy would. Reggie Taylor, I think, got one hit and struck out like 15 times in 20 at bats. And
I'll never forget
Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy just showed up like he was in charge. I think it was his second big league home run. It was from the right side. It was against, remember the lefty Steve Klein?
Of course.
He was
from Montreal.
Montreal and San Francisco and St. Louis. He was pitching for St. Louis at the time. It was late when Jimmy had just gotten called up, September, small crowd at the vet. And Jimmy hits one into the 400 level in left field, and he flips the bat on Steve Klein. And veteran pitcher Steve Klein yells, as Jimmy's running the bases slowly, Steve Klein yells at him the whole way, and Jimmy just takes it and runs right to the dugout. But he flipped the bat on him. It was so funny, and Steve Klein was so mad. But it was Jimmy. He's been in the big leagues a week, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Jimmy.
Smoke.
That's why, and that was Jimmy. And and that's what's impressive to me about what Tyler Phillips has done, because, that third deck, for some people, they step up their game. He knows that he's got to do a little something extra. He might have to do a little something extra, put a little bit more mustard on this thing, try to snap off this breaking ball a little bit. Now, to some people, that's a detriment. To him, so far, it's worked.
And he just has to be a number 5 starter. Don't try to do too much. They just want you to hold on the number 5 spot. If you give him 5, 6 innings, 2 runs, hey, a lot of handshakes to that.
Even 4 runs. I mean, for this ball club, really, this team should be scoring at least 4 runs a game. If you hold them down for, 6 innings, 4 runs, it doesn't have to be necessarily a quality start, but a decent start to just to eat up the innings and to do that's what the 5th starter needs to do. Let the other 4 guys take care of the rest of the business.
Do you think there's any chance that he's just too naive to get too emotional or to think too much? Like it's too new and strange. I think back to like Kyle Kendrick in 2007 when you guys called him up. He wasn't somebody that, and he would acknowledge us, pitched with a lot of confidence and a lot of, chutzpah or whatever you want to call it. But he was very good out of the gate in 2007. It was like, is it just because he's like, he's not thinking too much? Is there some of that maybe to it too with Tyler Phillips, or do you think it's different?
I think in Kendrick's situation, I think it was, I don't want to say clueless, but he was totally less. I don't think he realized the magnitude of what it was going on.
Right.
I think Tyler Phillips understands the magnitude. I think there's 2 different sets of circumstances, but there's going to come a time, Todd, when this guy is going to be introduced to Mr. Hillerich and Bradsby. And when he is introduced to them, it will be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. Now, the first time he pitched, he gave up a home run. Was it Atlanta, I think? Was it
in Atlanta. Yeah, it was the 9-hole hitter.
And then he came back and struck out the next guy. So that was a great sign. We talked about that a little bit before. Let's see what happens in his next start. He gets banged around a little bit early. At some point, he's going to get banged around. Sure. It happens, okay? He's not Cy Young. At some point, it's going to happen, and then you'll see how he handles things once things start to unravel a little bit for him.
Another guy that had an interesting weekend, as we talk about the trade deadline, Wes Wilson is hitting left-handed pitching pretty well. If you're the front office, are you? They're giving him some run to see if he can hit left-handed pitching, but is there anything that he could possibly do in the next 9 days, 8 days to convince them that, maybe he could be the guy, or do they have to go out and get somebody?
I think you're probably going to be pursuing that guy right until the end. Now, I don't know how many lefties they're going to face, but if he continues to produce, I do think it could affect their thinking and the type of player they get. Maybe they go after a Lane Thomas. Maybe it's a Taylor Ward, or maybe it's a Matt Verling. Who knows? Maybe it's, they feel like if they got enough with Wes Wilson, but if he just produces, it certainly helps his cause, gives them something to think about, maybe allows them to use resources on bullpen.
So 2 things for me as I look through this Weston Wilson thing. I think it's an audition not just for Weston Wilson, it's Pache, because I do think that they'll try to get somebody who they think will be better and more suited for this role to be and then if that happens, then I think Pache is going to end up losing his job, because Weston Wilson can step in and do the job that Pache is doing, because they already have basically 2 center fielders in Marsh and Yoro. So I think it's really, to me, it's more of an audition for him to stay on the team, even if he's not the left right-hand hitting left fielder.
Right.
I think there's 2 parts to this, and I think he is I just think he's a more dynamic player than Pache. Pache is sort of one-dimensional right now, and I think that's run its course. And I like the guy. I think he's a very good defender. I think he can do some things, but I just don't know that he's ever going to come around offensively enough, and that's why I think he's getting reps too. Because I think they're trying to find out, okay, which one of these guys could really be an effective player for us or enough. Or maybe they're auditioning Pache to possibly move him in a deal.
I agree. I think Wilson gives you more than Pache.
I agree with that. He can steal a base better. He's aggressive. He can play all more positions. He probably can play center field. I don't know how much center field he's played, but he's athletic enough to be able to play center field. I believe that center field sounds crazy, is the easiest of the three. If you have the natural speed to be able to catch the baseball or to get to the ball, and I think he does. I don't think he's as good as Pache, and I don't think he's as good as Johan Rojas, but I think he can certainly play center field if need be.
And if he keeps hitting, maybe left field becomes a three-headed monster. The right-handed bat you bring in, Weston Wilson and Marsh against right-handers. I mean, I think it would give them a lot of options. He's got an interesting skill set, and he does seem to fit on this team.
No doubt.
Yeah, he definitely does. So,
and I do think Rob Thompson likes him a lot. And I think if he's going to push comes to shove, I think he'd probably go with a guy like this because you can trust him.
Yeah, he gives you good quality at bats, it seems like. So the Phillies are in Minnesota this week. Big series because you're getting Ranger Suarez back.
Wait, they're in Minnesota or Minnesota?
Minnesota. Oh, sure. My mom's from
that's
Minnesota.
your old stomping ground.
Yeah, well, my mom's from Minnesota too, so she's got the accent. She doesn't think she's got the accent, but she's got the accent.
Give us more.
So you got Monday night, you got Ranger Suarez versus Bailey Ober, right-hander. You got Tuesday, Zach Wheeler, Simeon Woods Richardson. And then Wednesday, Aaron Nola versus Chris Paddock. That's a good way to say it in the Minnesota accent.
And then after the game, you can go to a nice fish fry.
Oh, sure. Yeah, get a good walleye. A walleye on a stick. Jim, you remember walleye on a stick at Target Field?
When Jim Thome made his return to the Phillies, was it 15 or
2012.
2012. God, can't get my dates, but Jim Thome makes his return to Philly, and we were in that Minnesota Target Field, beautiful ballpark, just beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice ballpark, really nice. I got a chance to open it up. Go ahead.
He hit a bomb to center field, and I swear it one-hopped off the concourse and went into the concession stand where they sell the fried walleye on a stick. It bounced right in there. Right?
He crushed it. Yeah, he cleared the batter's eye. Ruben, you remember this? Like, he had not played at all at the beginning of 2012, and then he had this run of AL games. And so finally, Thome got a chance to play, and he hit like 6 home runs in like 12 games, and then he ended up trading him like a few weeks later to the Orioles. But he killed that ball, and then it was so funny after the game. He kind of referenced it. Jim, do you remember this? He said, "Yeah, it landed on a walleye on a stick," and we all kind. And we all kind of laughed. And then, like, Jim being Jim, he's so earnest. He goes, "I was just joking about it landing on a walleye, but that's where they send the walleyes up. That's where they sell the walleyes up there." Like, Jim, we got it. It didn't actually land on a walleye on a stick.
Yeah. So you're talking about Jim in Minnesota, and he sent me, and you can't see it. Maybe I can show it to you. But he sent me a picture of his, was it 500th?
Oh, really? Cool.
He hit a milestone home run when he was playing for them.
Yes. It was either 500th or 400th. I can't remember. There's not very many of them. He signed it for me. Yeah. That's right. I think it was a 500th.
Yeah.
Home run there in Minnesota, and he sent that to me.
Oh, that's awesome. He's all-time good guy, Jim Thome.
He's a good boy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But so what are you guys hoping to see from Ranger and Zach tonight and tomorrow? Is it just normal effectiveness? You're not looking for anything fancy, I assume, right? You don't need him.
I want to see some command out of Ranger, and I want to see some Ranger, a little bit of that Ranger swagger, a little bit of just to tell me he feels good and he believes. And I'm looking at a lot of the intangibles and the body language. I'm looking for him to locate, but also to attack hitters, have that mentality that the same mentality he had most of the first half, that quiet, I'm better than you, and I'm going to get you out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right with you, Jim. And really, it's a command of his. He needs his sinker and he needs his curveball to be working. That curveball has been sort of eluding him as far as his just overall command of all of his stuff. The sharpness, the swagger is another thing. Like, hey man, I'm just going to get up there and I'm going to get you out with this. And then Wheeler, I'm not worried about Wheeler. Just health. Just make sure he's okay. I'm not worried about Wheeler. That Wheeler thing is overblown. I think And I think it'll be interesting to see how sharp they are because they haven't pitched for a while, right? We have Ranger who hasn't pitched for maybe 10 days, and the other guy for
I think Zach's like 13 days.
13 days, and he hates not being in routine. I understand why he's not, but he doesn't like doing that. So it'll be interesting to see how sharp he is. If he can get to me for both of them, if they can get through that first inning okay and sort of unscathed, hopefully they'll get a feel for their mechanics and the strike zone, and they'll be fine.
And I think they'll be comfortable knowing that I assume JT will be behind the plate for both of those games. So get JT back. Wheeler loves throwing at JT. Everybody loves throwing at JT. So they get that security blanket as well on Monday and Tuesday. Not that they necessarily need it, but it doesn't hurt to have JT behind the plate.
No doubt.
You think Wheeler was throwing bullpens in the driveway during the break? I mean,
no.
No?
Nope.
You think he was just shut down? He had to do something to keep his arm moving.
He threw bullpens. He threw a bullpen or two, but probably touch and feel, probably nothing too serious, just to make sure he's physically okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He does not like delays.
Still has a feel. Yeah, he doesn't like delays.
It would be interesting to see if there's any rust, and if there is, I wouldn't be troubled by it. It's probably natural. You just want to see really good health, because if you see that good health, then this start in Minnesota could be a launching pad to 3 excellent months, and you need 3 good months, and then you need a great one. You need 2 great months, then you need a great one in October for Zach Wheeler.
Right, exactly. Well, we'll be back later this week. Talk more Phillies Twins Monday night. Ranger Suarez is back. We'll talk to you guys later.
Twins, good ball.
Twins are good. Yes, it is. Yes, they are. That'll be a good test for him. So,
Todd, you're gonna get a Juicy Lucy?
Oh yes.
You better get a walleye on the stick.
I might get a walleye on a stick, but Juicy Lucy's.
What's a Juicy Lucy?
Juicy Lucy. There's it's a cheeseburger with molten cheese in the middle of the burger.
No wonder no wonder Jim asked about that. That sounds like dude. That's the meat. You're licking your chocolate. I can see you're salivating, James.
I am, man. I'm sweating.
The best thing about the best thing about the Juicy Lucy is they say they cook the cheese in the middle, so it's molten cheese. And no matter how many times you get it, you always forget, and then you bite into it, you just burn the crap out of your face.
Like that. It's like a Minneapolis St. Paul thing.
Yeah, it is.
They take a big slab of that Midwest cheddar, and they take 2 thin patties, a big slab of that homemade Midwest cheddar, and they stick it all together, and they put it on. They give it a nice sear, and then it's like liquefied when you bite into it, but you got to be careful because you burn your lips.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I want to try to make one of those today.
You could probably make one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Look it up online. You can find
a little slice of cheese in between the 2 patties and go.
Yeah. And it's all melted in the middle, and then you hit it with a lot of the veggies from the garden, and a little jalapeno. Oh, you're talking.
Now Jimmy's getting into it.
Now we were here, and Jimmy went here.
You got to elevate.
He elevated.
I actually know a place, and I can tell you off camera, but this guy will grind you up some short rib into burgers.
Wow.
Yeah. So
look up the Juicy Lucy. I'm sure you can find a recipe online and see how you can do it. And if you make it, just let it cool off for about 5 minutes before you bite into it. Otherwise, you'll have to go to the hospital.
Jowls don't get singed.
Protect your jowls at all costs. They're important.
The family jowls.
Family jowls.
the famous Amaro family jowls.
Oh, it's tremendous.
All right, guys. We'll be back later this week.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.